It was 7:15 on a Tuesday morning when the roar of a circular saw jolted the whole cul-de-sac awake. I stumbled out of bed, clutching a mug of coffee, half thinking the landscaping crew had just started early. But when I pulled back the kitchen curtains, what I saw made my mug slip from my hand and shatter on the tile. Half of my back deck was gone, sliced cleanly down the middle, as though someone had performed precision surgery on it. Standing there, triumphant with a smirk that could curdle milk, was Patricia Mallard, better known around here as Patty the Tyrant, our HOA president. Goggles pushed up on her forehead, gripped the still-smoking circular saw like it was some kind of crown jewel. She turned to the stunned group of neighbors gathering on their lawns and, in her shrill voice that carried across 3 properties, declared, "This section was built on community land, and I am reclaiming it for the good of the association." Sawdust drifted down around her like confetti, while pieces of my beautiful redwood deck lay scattered in the grass. I couldn't believe it. This woman had taken a power tool to my property, without warning, and hacked apart thousands of dollars worth of lumber at sunrise. Maybe I should explain how things got to this point. My name is Marcus Chin, a software engineer who cherishes peace and quiet above almost everything. I bought my place in Maplewood Heights 2 years ago, drawn in by the calm, tree-lined streets and the promise of suburban stillness. The house came with a gorgeous wraparound deck, only a few years old. I kept the yard spotless, paid HOA dues promptly, and minded my own business. Working from home suited me, and weekends were for grilling and relaxing. I thought I had found paradise. But my deck faced what Patricia liked to call the scenic walking path, which was really just a strip of grass she decided was communal space, despite there being no legal basis for it. Patricia was a 62-year-old retired vice principal who had traded middle school discipline for neighborhood domination. For 4 years, she'd run the HOA like a general preparing for battle, issuing fines and newsletters dripping with passive aggression. She lived 3 houses down in a spotless beige colonial that looked like a model home. Her husband, Roger, mostly stayed out of sight, tinkering with vintage motorcycles in the garage, clearly avoiding her crusades. The trouble began with small things. Notes appeared on my door, criticizing the shade of stain on my deck. Then came fines, $1.25 for grilling at non-designated hours, $50 for a bird feeder that supposedly attracted undesirable avian species, $75 because my recycling bin faced the wrong direction. At first, I thought it was ridiculous. Then it got unsettling. I caught Patricia photographing my yard at all hours, sometimes crouching in the hedges with binoculars. She angled a so-called security camera directly at my deck. At HOA meetings, she even presented PowerPoints filled with photos of my property, accusing me of constant violations. By spring, she escalated to formal motions. She argued that my deck was structurally invasive and a danger to community property values. According to her, it extended 3.7 inches onto HOA land, though she never produced a survey to prove it. The board, too intimidated by her relentless pressure, sided with her every time. I got a certified letter demanding I remove the supposed encroaching section within 30 days or face legal action. I tried reason. I asked for a professional survey. She refused. I offered to pay for it myself if she'd respect the results. At the next meeting, she laughed in my face and told me she knew the property lines better than any surveyor. When I didn't cave, she decided to act herself, bringing us back to that Tuesday morning, with her standing over my ruined deck, holding a saw like it was her badge of authority. That's when I picked up my phone and dialed 911. She had sawed through beams, railings, and boards with precision that left no doubt she had been planning this for a long time. By the time Officer Martinez pulled up, Patricia was coated in sawdust, grinning like she'd just won a prize. With absolute confidence, she told him, "Officer, I'm carrying out my duties as HOA president. This structure is illegal, and I am authorized to remove it." Martinez, a veteran cop who looked like he'd seen just about everything in his 15 years on the force, asked her a single question that cut through her bravado. "Do you have an official survey showing this deck is actually on HOA land?" Her smugness wavered for the first time. "I don't need a survey," she snapped. "I've been president for 4 years. I know the boundaries." That was my cue. I pulled out the county survey I'd requested the week before. It showed, without any room for argument, that my deck was entirely on my property, with the HOA line sitting a good 6 feet away. Martinez studied it, then turned back to Patricia. "Ma'am," he said flatly, "you've just committed felony property destruction. Put your hands behind your back." Her face drained of color. She tried sputtering about her authority, but the officer was done listening. Though he didn't cuff her then and there, he seized the saw as evidence and told her the DA's office would be contacting her. Before leaving, he advised her to photograph everything immediately and hire a lawyer. Patricia stormed back to her house, while I called a contractor. The estimate to fix the damage? $18,000. A few days later, my lawyer, Jennifer Wu, called me with something that made me laugh out loud. Patricia had actually filed paperwork in court, claiming HOA bylaws outrank state property law. She was insisting her role as president gave her emergency powers to demolish what she labeled encroachments. Jennifer, who specialized in property disputes, could hardly keep a straight face. "Marcus," she said, "this is either delusion or the worst legal strategy I've ever seen. We're going to crush her." Word spread quickly. Neighbors started sharing their own war stories about Patricia. One man said she forced him to repaint his home 3 separate times because the shade of blue was an exact match to her approved palette. Another neighbor revealed she'd fine her $500 because her grandmother's gnome collection was visible from the street. Everyone had a Patricia nightmare, and everyone was eager to see her finally face consequences. As Jennifer dug deeper, she uncovered more dirt. Patricia had been renewing her presidency without elections for 2 years, approving expenses without board votes, and, icing on the cake, she bought that saw with HOA money, labeling it maintenance equipment. By the time court rolled around on a muggy Thursday, the room was packed with neighbors eager to witness the showdown. Patricia strutted in wearing a navy suit and clutching binder stuffed with papers labeled Exhibit A, HOA authority, and Exhibit B, community violations. She chose to represent herself, which Jennifer whispered was the best possible outcome for us. The judge, Harrison, a sharp-eyed man in his 60s, looked unimpressed from the start. Patricia launched into a rambling 20-minute monologue about the sacred duty of HOA presidents. She even quoted her own newsletters and showed dozens of photos of my deck with red arrows pointing to supposed violations. The judge cut her short. He slammed one of her binders shut, so hard the sound echoed through the courtroom. "Mrs. Mallard," he said coldly, "this is nonsense. Our case took less than 10 minutes. The survey proved the deck was mine. The police report confirmed she destroyed it. The contractor's estimate showed the cost. And the HOA bylaws proved she had no authority, even if there had been encroachment. Judge Harrison didn't deliberate. He ordered her to pay for a full deck replacement, all my legal fees, and punitive damages, for a total of $32,000. The gallery broke into applause. Patricia's face turned a furious crimson. She stammered something about protecting the community, but the judge silenced her with a raised hand. "You destroyed private property with a saw," he said. "You're lucky he isn't pressing criminal charges. Pay the judgment and rethink your approach." The gavel came down, and her empire began to crumble. Within 2 weeks, the HOA held an emergency meeting. Neighbors packed the room. The vote of no confidence passed unanimously. Even her usual allies abandoned her. Her troubles didn't stop there. Her homeowner's insurance canceled her policy, labeling her too risky. The state's real estate commission launched an investigation that threatened to strip her license. At her final meeting, stripped of her title and facing financial ruin, she rose shakily and muttered, "I only wanted what was best for our community." Tom, from 2 streets over, didn't miss a beat. "No, Patricia, you wanted control. And this time you went too far." She fled the room, and that was the last anyone ever saw of her at a neighborhood gathering.